Hey guys, Winslow Bent here. Welcome to another episode of This Old Truck. Today we're going to be exploring the Dodge M37, Korean War military truck. This is a 3/4 ton 4x4. It's a little hot down in Driggs, Idaho today, so we've gone ahead and driven up into the mountains. We're going to spend the day playing in the National Forest and talking about this Korean War vehicle, what it was used for, and what our impressions of it are today. So let's get into it and check it out. So today we're talking about the Dodge M37. These were built from 1950 until 1968. The total production run was about 115,000 trucks. The primary purpose for the US military was the Korean War. Now this truck was a continuation of the WC series trucks from World War II. So the first thing I think we should look at is what are the common themes, the stuff that worked in World War II, and what did they upgrade? The transmission in this is very similar to the civilian Power Wagon, or at least the later model civilian Power Wagons. It's called an NP420, and this features a synchronized 3rd and 4th gear. So it makes the shifting a lot easier than you would find in an earlier Power Wagon or World War II truck. And I think when you're dealing with the stress of combat, having a synchronized transmission was really nice. The transfer case in this vehicle is still the vulnerable NP200. That goes all the way back to World War II. So really the powertrain, all World War II stuff. What did they improve then? Well, one of the things they did a nice improvement on is the steering. It's still, let's say tractor technology, but they've made some nice changes to the geometry. And generally speaking, the M37 at 40, 50 miles an hour is gonna feel a lot happier and just more secure on the road than the earlier model trucks. So that was certainly a nice improvement. One of the downsides to running that old flathead, and with military vehicles starting to get faster and faster, was that you were running this thing at high RPM to keep up with everybody else. And one of the things that the old flatheads do not like, particularly with that really long stroke, remember this is low horsepower, high torque, they don't like spinning fast. So one of the most common failures of this engine was breaking the connecting rods, and that was simply just from running it at high RPM for long periods of time. There's nothing wrong with this engine, it just wasn't designed to do that. You'll see a familiar looking bolt pattern, the 16-inch Bud wheels. There's a lot of components on here that are going to look very Power Wagon-esque. But when we get to the cab, this is a complete redesign. There's nothing on here that has to do with any of the earlier trucks. Typically, this truck would come with a canvas top on it, but you could also get what was called the Arctic top, which is a fiberglass top on it. You'll see them configured like that sometimes, and it does make it better for running around the winter because it's just not so darn cold. I can sit in this cab all day long, super comfortable, whether it's the soft top down like it is today, or with that Arctic top on, very, very comfortable. The bed on the Power Wagon has been shortened up from the 9-foot bed that we had on the civilian Power Wagons. You'll see this guy's only about 6.5 feet long. They've also reduced the wheelbase of the Power Wagon. Remember how that was really long, about 130 inches? This has been shrunk, and as a result, it has a little bit more maneuverability through the woods, which is something that we're going to be checking out today. A couple of cool little features. You've got the storage compartments down here where you can keep things like tire chains, replacement parts, anything you needed in there. Coming around to the back of the M37, first thing I'd point out is the military fuel fill neck. This thing's about 3 inches in diameter, and you can just beer bong fuel into this thing. It's like no hesitation, fill it up super fast. It's not picky like all these modern pumps. This is also, by the way, set up for fording. So you can seal the fuel tank if you want to, if you happen to be driving through water that's, deeper than that. So that's up to my chest. You can get a picture of how capable this vehicle is. Real simple tailgate back here, just kind of classic stuff. A lot of times you'd see them with shovels and axes back here. That's called the Pioneer kit. Just drop this tailgate. This guy's pretty beefy. It is only single wall steel, so if you get it dented up, you can bang it out with a hammer. This is probably a fairly expendable part of the vehicle. I think if you own an M37 and you work it, you should probably have a couple extra tailgates. But I do like how it comes all the way down. Makes it easier to throw stuff in and out of the back. This here is a military part. This is just a simple strap. I put it on the vehicle because I like to haul my dog around. And as you can imagine, with this closed and the dog sits right there and it just feels like he's not going to jump out of the truck. I suppose it probably kept people and supplies from falling out of the back of the truck, but for me, keeps my dog safe. I really like it. These side rails here, these are actually seats. So I can flip these down. You put your back here, you put your butt there, and you can put 8, 10 people in the back of this truck really comfortably. And if you need to switch back to hauling cargo, which was the primary purpose of this vehicle, those seats go up really fast and you can go ahead and load tons of gear in the back of this thing. So coming into the cab of the M37, right away I can tell you, this is a place where I want to spend some time compared to the earlier military stuff. I know I said that before, but it's just one of the biggest things for me. I'm 6 feet tall. I can sit in here all day, wheeling, going on the highway. This is so comfortable. And I love it with the top off. It's just fun cruising and like checking stuff out. It's, I suppose, the convertible for a truck guy. So what you got here is your really classic lighting switch. This is military stuff. You see this going back to World War II. You see this still in use today. A lot of people that have served recently jump into the vehicle and they go, oh man, the control panel. Yeah, I know what that is. Well, you can go all the way back to Sherman tanks and they had the same dang thing. So that's been around forever. They also wanted to have a level of familiarity between the vehicles. So a guy who's running a Jeep, running a tank, whatever, can jump in an M37 and totally knows what's going on. Like it's just a truck, just drive it, right? You know, the military's not scared to put labels on things and a lot of do's and don't do's. And as far as do's and don't do's, the M37 is a pretty good one. We got up here, tells you your shift pattern, tells you how to engage the four-wheel drive, high and low. Then this is a little sun faded here, but this guy tells you how fast you can go in each gear before you hit the governor. Another favorite right here, this is the manual throttle. So as I pull this out, you go to a high idle, and the sign here, pull out when fording. So they want you to keep your RPMs up when you're going through the deep stuff. And it's like between this, the fuel tank, I put this air breather up here. It's like, dang, I mean, I kind of get the feeling that I could drive to water, you know, right up to about here. So again, all these gauges are going to work right here. Very simple. Emergency brake, or this is two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. Behind that is high-low. They have staggered the shifters, so you can't do low range and two-wheel drive. You got to get in four-wheel drive, then you can go for low range. The batteries for this truck live underneath this big seat. Two 12-volt batteries, run in series, bounces it up to 24 volts. So there you have it, guys. One last thing I'll show you. You can flip this seat forward. That's going to give you some nice storage. If you're out hunting, fishing like I am, it's actually possible to throw a padlock on here and make this like your own little Tuffy box. For comfort, here's your air conditioning. You've got a lever here that you push up. Windshield opens a little bit if you like. And if you really want full AC, you pull these latches up here, whole windshield flops down. Anyhow, nice little outfit, very simple. Let's take it out and go for a drive. Find ourselves a Jeep trail, do some wheeling.
Well, when she wrapped her loving arms around my neck on the dance floor at Chelsea's bar, I should have turned her away.
There's some cows. Hey, cows. Hey, cow.
I was firing, she was gasoline.
Tell you, this thing's pretty easy to drive. The suspension feels softer to me than an old Power Wagon or World War II truck. It's just easy to shift and easy to see out of, and the whole thing's pretty darn mellow, honestly. You know, when you drive one of these things, you just gotta remember, like, I'm not in a hurry. You know, sit back, enjoy the ride. It's all about the mentality, you know? If you're in a rush, go get yourself a new TRX 700 horsepower pickup truck, because this is not a T-Rex. This is slow and steady wins the race. And I'll tell you, on a beautiful day like today, there's no place I'd rather be. All right, so far so good. We are running open differentials in this thing, so no fancy lockers. So it's pretty important to pick a line where you keep all your tires on the ground, and then those big gnarly super swampers will hook right up, and up you go. I suppose at 6,000 pounds, fairly heavy vehicle to be doing trail work like this, but seems to get after it no problem. I can only imagine what this was like in 3 feet of mud, with snow chains on it, blasting around in Korea. My Lord, that was supposed to be a really muddy, nasty theater. I can only imagine what it was like piloting one of these things around day in and day out. All right, guys, that was a little dicey. We're pulling up that long climb with a lot of loose rock. Tires are chugging away. For a brief second, it bounced. Heard a really loud pop, came from the back, and then all of a sudden it was as if I lost all power. If I start this thing and put it in gear, you see it turning all the way down to the rear pumpkin. So I did break a rear axle. The question is, why isn't the front working? I should be able to take my drive shaft off and use this as basically a front wheel drive and get back down to the trailhead. Likely what's going on is the front hubs, those little convenient locking hubs I was talking about. I probably blew one or both of those, and then it was working the back really hard and popped the axle shaft. So, wow, not a great day on the trail. The truck was doing great until it wasn't. You don't win every fight. So we're gonna try and limp back down. I'm just gonna try and coast it back down here, see if I can get to flat ground to a place where we can get a recovery vehicle in. I'm gonna take this back to the shop, take it apart, see what went wrong. Talk to you soon. Ooh, there it is. All right, guys, we safely made it back to Legacy Classic Trucks headquarters. I've had a chance to look over the Dodge M37, and yes, in fact, we did break the long side axle in the rear. Looks like the front hubs weren't working, which is why that whole thing got away from us. So we're gonna go ahead and do a couple of quick repairs on this thing. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. I do hope you guys have enjoyed having a chance to explore the old Dodge M37, and we're gonna go ahead and make a couple of improvements to this truck. If you'd like to see more trucks like this, or you have something specific you'd like to see, please leave a comment. Be sure to subscribe, like this, and remember to ring that notification bell. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks.